Mina arrived the next morning with a briefcase full of papers and a smile that looked practiced. She was young, maybe 25, with neat hair and neat clothes and a neat way of speaking that came from expensive schools. "I'm your cultural liaison," she said in the doorway. "I'll help you understand Virani customs and needs. I'll also report back to the diplomatic team about HFY's progress." She looked around the apartment. Her smile didn't change, but Daewon saw her eyes measure the space. One room, poor neighborhood. He knew what she was thinking. "This isn't suitable. It's temporary," Daewon said, though no one had asked. "Of course." Mina opened her briefcase. "I have reading materials for you. Diet guidelines, sleep schedules, educational requirements. Virani children are very intelligent. HFY will need mental stimulation." HFY sat on the bed watching Mina with those large eyes. She hadn't said anything since Mina arrived. Mina pulled out a tablet. "The diplomatic team is very curious about why HFY chose you. With your permission, I'd like to observe your daily routines. Take notes. Try to understand the selection criteria." "What do you mean, criteria?" Daewon asked. "Virani children choose guardians based on something they call soul resonance. They can sense a person's fundamental character, but our scans show nothing unusual about you. No special talent. No remarkable history. You're statistically average in every measurable way." "Thanks," Daewon said dryly. "I don't mean offense. I'm just stating what the data shows." "Which makes HFY's choice even more interesting." Mina smiled at HFY. "Would you like to tell me why you chose Daewon?" HFY looked at Daewon first as if asking permission. He shrugged. HFY turned back to Mina. "His hands are kind," HFY said simply. Mina wrote that down. "Can you elaborate?" No, Mina tried asking more questions. HFY answered in short sentences or not at all. After 30 minutes, Mina gave up and left, promising to return the next day. Life fell into a strange rhythm. Daewon was on leave from work, but his body still woke at 5 in the morning. Old habits died hard. He would make breakfast. HFY would watch and copy his movements. They would eat together on the floor. Then they would go outside. Daewon didn't know what to do with a child all day, but staying in the tiny apartment felt wrong. So they walked through the port district, past the markets. Along the waterfront, HFY observed everything. The way vendors shouted about their goods, the way old women haggled over fish prices, the way workers moved cargo with mechanical precision. She didn't speak much, but Daewon could feel her absorbing everything. On the third day, they walked past the park near the docks. An old man sat on a bench there. Daewon recognized him. Young-Sik, former Navy, now homeless. He slept in the park when the weather was good, in the shelter when it wasn't. Young-Sik looked bad. His face was gray. His hands shook. He was hunched over, breathing hard. Most people walked past. Gave him space. Pretended not to see. Daewon stopped. "Young-Sik? You okay?" The old man looked up. His eyes were unfocused. Cold. So cold. It wasn't cold. The day was warm. Daewon knelt down. He touched Young-Sik's forehead. Hot. Fever. "When did you last eat?" Daewon asked. "Don't remember?" Daewon looked around. The medical center was 6 blocks away. Young-Sik couldn't walk that far. Daewon pulled out his phone and called for help. Then he took off his jacket and wrapped it around Young-Sik's shoulders. He opened his wallet. He had about 40,000 won for the week. He gave half to Young-Sik. "Get some soup when you feel better," Daewon said. "The place on 3rd Street. Tell them I sent you." "Can't pay you back," Young-Sik mumbled. "I'm not asking you to." An ambulance arrived. Paramedics loaded Young-Sik onto a stretcher. One of them looked at Daewon. "You family?" "No, just someone who knows him. We'll take him to the clinic. He'll be okay." They left. Daewon stood there in his shirt, watching the ambulance go. He was supposed to work an extra shift next week to make up for some missing money. That was half gone now. His mother's medicine money. He would have to figure something else out. He turned around. HFY was holding her translator device. The light on it blinked, meaning she was recording. "Why did you help him?" she asked. "Because he needed help. But you lost money. You lost time. You gained nothing. That's not how it works." "How does it work?" Daewon started walking. HFY followed. "It works like someone has to help. If I walk past, then I'm saying it's okay to walk past. If everyone walks past, then no one gets help. So someone has to stop. That's all, but why you? Why not me?" HFY was quiet. but her translator device kept blinking. Recording everything, the pattern repeated. Daewon didn't notice it, but Mina did. She followed them at a distance, taking notes. On the 5th day, a young dock worker named Tae-yang came to Daewon's apartment. He looked scared, nervous. He was maybe 20 years old. New to the job, I need advice, Tae-yang said. I made a mistake at work. A big one. I loaded containers in the wrong order. The shipment got delayed. The supervisor is really angry. I think I'll be fired. How much damage? Daewon asked. About 2 million won in penalties. Daewon whistled. That was bad. That was very bad. For a new worker, that was career-ending. Did anyone else see you make the mistake? Daewon asked. I don't think so. It was during night shift. Just me and one other person. Who? You were scheduled, but you're on leave now. So they assigned someone else. Daewon thought about this. Thought about the cameras, the logs, the paperwork. He had worked docks for 15 years. He knew how things worked. I'll talk to the supervisor, Daewon said. You don't have to. I'll talk to him. The next day, Daewon went to the port. He found his supervisor, a hard man named Byung-ho who ran the docks like a military operation. I heard about the container mistake, Daewon said. Yeah. Kid's probably going to be let go. Can't have workers costing us millions. The logs show I was scheduled that night, right? Byung-ho checked his tablet. You were, but you're on leave. Logs don't show I took leave, though. System error. So technically, I was supposed to be there. The mistake could have been mine. Byung-ho narrowed his eyes. Are you saying you made the mistake? I'm saying the logs are unclear. Could have been anyone. Firing Tae-yang seems harsh when there's doubt. Why do you care? Because he's young. Everyone makes mistakes when they're young. He deserves a second chance. Byung-ho stared at Daewon for a long moment. Then he sighed. Fine, I'll put him on probation instead. But if he screws up again, he's gone. Fair enough, Daewon left. He didn't tell Tae-yang what he had done. A word spread in the dock community. The quiet guy who took the heat for the new kid. Who protected someone who couldn't protect himself. Mina heard about it. She added it to her notes. At night, after Haewon was asleep, Daewon's mother called. Her voice was weak. The medicine wasn't working well anymore. She needed a different kind. More expensive. About 300,000 won. I'll send it, Daewon said. You already sent money this month. And last month. Daewon, you need to eat too. I'm eating fine, Mom, don't worry. He hung up. He looked at his bank account on his phone. The diplomatic stipend was generous, but his mother's medicine would take most of it. That was okay. He could make instant ramen stretch. He had done it before. He didn't see Haewon watching from the bed, eyes open, translator blinking in the darkness, recording every word. Mina submitted her first report to the Varani elders. She had pages of observations. Small acts, tiny kindnesses. Daewon helped everyone. He gave money he didn't have. He took blame he didn't deserve. He worked extra when others were sick. He fed stray cats in the alley. He never complained. He never asked for anything back. This is the pattern, Mina wrote. Subject performs multiple altruistic acts daily. No expectation of reward. No social pressure. No religious obligation. He simply helps because help is needed. Statistical analysis shows this behavior is rare even among humans. Perhaps 1 in 10,000 show this consistency. The Varani elders read the report. They looked at each other with their strange eyes. Then they requested a meeting. They had things to explain, things about their civilization, things about humanity, things that would change how everyone understood the galaxy. But first, they needed to be sure. They needed to see one more thing. They needed to see what Daewon would do when helping others meant risking everything. That test would come soon, sooner than anyone expected. Daewon's apartment had never felt smaller. Haewon stood in the middle of the room, looking at everything with those large alien eyes. She turned in a slow circle. The entire space took maybe 3 seconds to see completely. One bed against the wall, a kitchen that was just a counter, a sink, and a hot plate. A bathroom so small that Daewon had to step over the toilet to reach the shower. A single window that looked out at another building exactly like this one. This is it, Daewon said. He felt embarrassed. The diplomatic people had driven them here in a fancy car. They had given him papers to sign. Papers he didn't fully understand. They had given him a credit chip loaded with money for Haewon's care. They had promised someone would come tomorrow to help. Now they were gone, and he was alone with an alien child in an apartment meant for one person. Where do I sleep? Haewon asked. Her Korean was getting better already. The translator device around her neck hummed softly, helping her learn. Daewon looked at his bed, then at the floor, then at the bed again. "You take the bed," he said. "I'll sleep on the floor." "Why?" "Because you're a kid. Kids need beds." Haewon tilted her head. It was a very alien gesture. Her neck bent at an angle that would hurt a human. "On my world, adults have higher status. Adults get the best sleeping places." "Well, on Earth, we take care of kids first," Daewon said. He opened his closet and pulled out his spare blanket. It was thin and old, but it would work. "That's just how we do it." Haewon watched him make a sleeping spot on the floor. She didn't argue anymore. But Daewon could feel her watching him, studying him. It made him uncomfortable. His phone rang. His mother. Daewon had called her earlier to explain the situation. She hadn't believed him at first. "Daewon, did you eat?" his mother asked. She always asked that first. "Not yet, Mom. I was just about to make something." "Make sure the child eats too. Growing children need food." "She's not human, Mom. I don't know what she eats." "Did you ask her?" Daewon looked at Haewon. That was a good point. "Haewon, what do you eat?" "Many things," Haewon said. "The nutrition paste they gave us on the ship. Processed protein blocks. Vitamin supplements, that sounded terrible." Daewon opened his small refrigerator. He had eggs, rice, some vegetables that were getting old. Instant ramen. "Not much else. Can you eat human food?" he asked. "Yes." The medical scan said Earth food is safe for Varani. "Okay, I'll make something." He said goodbye to his mother and started cooking. Rice first. Then he scrambled some eggs with the vegetables. It was simple food. Poor people food. But it was hot and fresh. Haewon watched him cook. She stood right next to him, observing every movement. When he cracked an egg, she leaned closer. When he stirred the rice, she made a soft sound of interest. "You make food yourself," she said. "Yeah, it's cheaper than buying prepared meals. On my world, food is made by machines. Perfect nutrition. Perfect portions. Perfectly efficient. Is it good?" Haewon was quiet for a moment. "I don't know. Good is not a word we use for food. Food is fuel." Daewon split the meal between two bowls. He gave Haewon the bigger portion. They sat on the floor because he only had one chair. Haewon picked up the chopsticks. She tried to use them like Daewon did. She wasn't good at it. Rice fell back into the bowl. She tried again. More rice fell. "Here," Daewon said. He moved behind her and guided her fingers. "Hold this one still. Move this one like a lever." See, Haewon practiced. After a few tries, she managed to get rice to her mouth. She chewed slowly. Her face was hard to read. Alien expressions didn't match human ones. "It's warm," she said finally, "and it tastes like many things at once. The egg is soft. The vegetables are crunchy. The rice is smooth. Is that okay? It's strange. But I think I like it." They ate in silence. Daewon was tired. His body ached from work. His mind felt overloaded. Nothing about this situation made sense. Why had this child chosen him? What did she see that made her run past all those important people? After dinner, Haewon helped him wash the dishes. She copied his movements exactly. The way he held the sponge, the way he rinsed the bowls. It was like having a mirror that showed delayed movements. "Why do you copy everything I do?" Daewon asked. "I'm learning," Haewon said simply. "This is how Varani children learn. We observe, we copy, we understand." "What are you trying to understand?" "You." That made Daewon uncomfortable again. He finished the dishes and checked the time. It was late. Past midnight. He had work tomorrow. No, wait. The diplomatic people had said he was on leave for 30 days. Paid leave. He could barely remember the last time he had a day off. "Time for sleep," he said. "You take the bed. Bathroom is there if you need it." Haewon climbed onto the bed. She was so small that she barely made a dent in the mattress. She pulled the blanket up to her chin, copying the way she had seen humans sleep on videos. Daewon turned off the light. He lay down on the floor with his thin blanket. The floor was hard. His back would hurt tomorrow, but he had slept in worse places during his military service. "Daewon?" Haewon's voice came from the darkness. "Yeah? Why are your eyes sad?" The question surprised him. "What do you mean?" "When you look at things, your eyes are sad. Even when you smile. Even when you cook. Your eyes stay sad." Daewon didn't know how to answer. He thought about his father's funeral, his mother's declining health, his brother who never called, his job that paid barely enough. his apartment that was barely big enough, his life that was barely a life. "I guess I'm just tired," he said. "No, it's more than tired. I can see it." "Can all Varani see things like that?" "Yes, we see the inside of people. Not their thoughts, but their shape, the shape of their spirit. And what shape is mine?" Heywan was quiet for a long time. Daewon thought she had fallen asleep. Then she spoke again. "Your shape is quiet, like a stone in a river. The water rushes over you, but you stay still. You don't move. You don't fight, but you never break. And your hands are kind. Even when you're sad, your hands are kind." Daewon felt something tight in his chest. No one had ever said anything like that to him. No one had ever looked at him closely enough to see anything at all. "That's why I chose you," Heywan continued. "All those other humans, they had loud shapes, bright shapes, proud shapes, but their hands were empty. You have a quiet shape and sad eyes, but your hands are full of kindness. That's what I needed." "I'm not special," Daewon said quietly. "I'm nobody." "You're wrong," Heywan said. "But you don't know you're wrong. That makes it more true." Daewon didn't understand that. He closed his eyes and tried to sleep. Tomorrow someone would come to help. Someone who understood Varani children and cultural exchanges and diplomatic protocols. Someone who could explain why he was chosen. But deep down he suspected no explanation would make sense. Life rarely did. On the bed above him, Heywan was already asleep. She made small sounds like a cat purring. In the darkness of the tiny apartment in the poorest part of the port district, an alien child slept peacefully for the first time since leaving her world. And on the floor below, a tired dock worker stared at the ceiling and wondered what he had gotten himself into. The cargo container weighed 3 tons. Daewon pushed it across the loading dock with steady, practiced movements. His back ached. It always ached after the first 4 hours of his shift. He had 4 more hours to go. The Busan interstellar port never slept. Ships from a dozen worlds landed every hour. Cargo moved in endless streams. Dock workers like Daewon made it all happen. Nobody noticed them. Nobody thanked them. That was fine. Daewon preferred it that way. He wiped sweat from his forehead and checked his scanner. Container BX7749 needed to go to Bay 12. He started pushing again. "Excuse me." "Coming through," someone shouted. Daewon moved his container to the side. A group of people in expensive suits hurried past. Military officers with shiny medals, scientists with fancy badges, rich people in clothes that cost more than Daewon made in a month. They all walked with importance heading toward the main ceremonial hall. Daewon knew what was happening today. Everyone at the port knew. The Varani were here, aliens from somewhere far away. They were doing some kind of ceremony, something about choosing human guardians for their children. He didn't understand all of it. The news reports used big words: cultural exchange, diplomatic initiative, interspecies bonding. Daewon just knew that important people were meeting important aliens and he needed to stay out of their way. He pushed his container toward Bay 12. His stomach growled. Lunch break was still 2 hours away. He thought about the instant noodles waiting in his locker. Maybe he would add an egg today. His mother had called last night. She needed money for her medicine again. The egg could wait. The ceremonial hall was near Bay 12. Daewon could see it through the windows. Lights, cameras. The Varani looked strange. They were tall and thin, with skin that seemed to shimmer like oil on water. Their eyes were too large. Their fingers were too long, but they moved with grace that made them beautiful in an alien way. The Varani children were smaller versions of the adults. About 20 of them stood in a line. They wore simple white clothes. They looked nervous. Daewon felt bad for them. Being paraded in front of strangers must be scary, even for alien kids. The human candidates stood in another line. Each one looked perfect, clean, successful. The kind of people who owned homes and took vacations. The kind of people who mattered. Daewon reached Bay 12. He started unloading his container. The work was mechanical. Lift, scan, stack, repeat. His mind wandered. He thought about his apartment. 1 room, a bed, a small kitchen, a bathroom with a shower that only worked half the time. It was enough for him. He sent most of his pay to his mother. She lived alone in Gwangju. His father had died 5 years ago. His brother lived in Seoul with his own family. They never called. A loud sound broke his thoughts. Alarms. shouting. Day one looked up. The ceremonial hall doors had opened. People were running out. No, not running, chasing. They were chasing something small and fast. A Varani child rushed through the cargo bay. She was tiny, maybe the size of a human 6-year-old. Her large eyes were fixed on something. She dodged between workers and equipment with surprising speed. She was running straight toward Day one. He stood still, confused. Was she lost? Should he help her? The important people were shouting. Guards were trying to catch up. The Varani adults were making sounds that might have been words in their language. The child reached Day one. She grabbed his leg with both hands. Her fingers were warm and strong. She looked up at him with those huge eyes and said something in her own language. Then in broken Korean she repeated it. I want this one as my Earth Father. Daewon stared at her. His brain felt frozen. Earth Father? Him? There must be a mistake. Kid, I think you're confused, he said gently. He tried to pry her fingers loose. She held tighter. The ceremony's over there. Those people are waiting for you. No. Her Korean was simple but firm. You, I choose you. The important people arrived. They surrounded Daewon and the child. A military officer with a sharp face spoke first. Sir, please step away from the Varani child. I'm trying, Daewon said. She won't let go. A Varani adult came forward. It spoke through a translator device that hung around its neck. The choice has been made. This cannot be undone. But there's been a mistake, a woman in a diplomatic uniform said. This man is not one of the approved candidates. He hasn't been screened. He hasn't been trained. The child has chosen, the Varani repeated. The bond is forming. We cannot interfere. Daewon looked down at the child. She looked back at him. She wasn't afraid. She seemed certain, like she had found exactly what she was looking for. Look, Daewon said to everyone. I'm just a dock worker. I move boxes. I live in a tiny apartment. I work 12-hour shifts. I can barely take care of myself. You don't want me. You want one of those people in the suits. The child shook her head. You, she said again. More people gathered. Cameras appeared. Reporters started asking questions. Daewon felt his face grow hot. He hated attention. He just wanted to finish his shift and go home. A Varani elder arrived. It was older than the others, with skin that shimmered silver instead of rainbow colors. It looked at Daewon for a long moment. Then it spoke through its translator. The child's name is Haiwan. She has made her choice according to our customs. By our laws, you must accept her as your ward until the bonding period is complete. This will take at least 30 days. During this time, we will observe. We will understand why she chose you. 30 days? Daewon felt dizzy. I can't take care of a child for 30 days. I don't know anything about kids. I don't know anything about Varani. You will be given resources, the elder said. Housing, money, a cultural liaison, everything you need. But the choice cannot be reversed. If you refuse, Haiwan will be returned to our world unbonded. This would damage her deeply, perhaps forever. Daewon looked down at Haiwan again. She was still holding his leg. She looked up at him with trust that he hadn't earned. He thought about what the elder said. Damage her deeply, perhaps forever. He thought about his own childhood, his father working long hours, his mother always tired, but they had never abandoned him. They had never turned him away when he needed them. He sighed. This was crazy. This was impossible. But what choice did he have? 30 days, he said quietly. Just 30 days and then someone else can take over? We will see, the elder said. Haiwan's grip on his leg loosened slightly. She smiled. It was a strange smile, not quite human, but it carried the same meaning. Relief, happiness, hope. Daewon's lunch break came and went. He forgot about the instant noodles. He forgot about his container. He stood in the cargo bay while important people made arrangements around him. His simple, quiet life had just ended. He didn't know why this alien child had chosen him. He didn't know what would happen next. He only knew that for the first time in years someone needed him. Really needed him. And he couldn't walk away from that, even if he wanted to. The conference room at the Varani embassy was too white. Everything was white. The walls, the floor, the table, even the chairs seemed to glow with their own light. Daewon felt out of place in his work pants and old shirt. Haiwan held his hand tightly. 3 Varani elders sat across from them. Their skin shimmered silver with age. Their eyes were deep and knowing. Mina sat to the side, her tablet ready. Several human officials sat along the wall. Military, diplomatic, scientific. "Thank you for coming," the eldest Varani said through its translator. Its voice was like wind chimes. "We owe you an explanation." "An explanation for what?" Daewon asked. "For why we came to Earth, for why we give you our children, for why Haewon chose you specifically." Daewon had wondered about this for weeks. He had asked Haewon many times. She always gave simple answers. His hands were kind. His shape was right. Nothing that made sense. "We need to tell you about our civilization," the elder continued. "About what we were. About what we became. About what we lost." The lights in the room dimmed. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed a planet. Blue and green, not unlike Earth. Then it showed cities. Beautiful, perfect cities with towers that touched the clouds. "We evolved on a world much like yours," the elder said. "We struggled. We survived. We built civilizations. We made art and music and poetry. We felt joy and pain and love. We were in many ways like you." The hologram changed. It showed Varani working together, building, creating, helping each other. "Then we discovered technology, better tools, better medicine, better everything. Our lives became easier. Our children survived more. Our old ones lived longer. This was good." The hologram showed more advancement. Cities growing, space travel, contact with other species. We kept improving. We made machines to help us think. Computers that could solve any problem. Algorithms that could optimize any task. We became very efficient, very logical, very perfect. The hologram showed Varani connected to devices, their faces blank, their movements precise. "And that's when we started to lose something," the elder said. "Something small at first. We stopped doing things that weren't efficient. Why make art by hand when a machine could make it perfectly? Why grow food ourselves when automated farms produced more? Why help a neighbor when specialized services existed for that?" The hologram showed Varani becoming more isolated, each one in their own pod, connected by technology but separated by distance. Every action needed justification. Every choice needed optimization. If something didn't produce measurable benefit, we didn't do it. This made sense. This was logical. This was progress. The elder's voice grew quieter, sadder, but we didn't realize what we were editing out of ourselves. The small kindnesses, the unnecessary gestures, the help given without expected return. All of it was inefficient. All of it was illogical. All of it disappeared. The hologram showed a Varani city. Perfect, clean, empty of life. Just beings moving from task to task with mechanical precision. We lost the ability to act without purpose. A child falls, someone will come to help, because that's their job. An elder is lonely. Companionship services exist for that. A stranger needs aid. Report it to the proper authorities. Everything had a protocol. Everything had an assigned responder. Personal intervention became unnecessary. Daewon watched the hologram. He saw Varani passing each other without acknowledgement, each one alone in a crowd. "Then our central AI council failed," the elder said. "A cascade error. Nothing catastrophic, just stopped. And suddenly there was no one to assign tasks, no one to optimize choices, no one to tell us what to do." The hologram showed chaos. Varani standing still, waiting, not knowing how to act without instruction. We almost collapsed as a species, not because we couldn't survive. We had plenty of resources, plenty of technology, plenty of knowledge. We almost collapsed because no one knew how to help each other without a system telling them to. A fire starts, wait for fire services. They don't come? Wait longer. Someone is hurt? Call medical services. They don't respond? Keep calling. No one thought to just help. No one remembered how. The room was silent. Daewon felt Haewon's hand grip his tighter. "We survived," the elder said. "Barely. We fixed our AI, we restored order. But we realized what we had lost. We looked at our children, and we saw beings who had never learned to help without reason, who had never given without expectation, who had never loved without purpose." The hologram changed. It showed young Varani, their eyes empty, their movements perfect but lifeless. We searched the galaxy for a cure, for a way to teach what we had forgotten. We found only 3 species who still maintained what we called irrational compassion, acts of kindness without benefit. Help given at personal cost. Sacrifice made for abstract principles. The elder looked directly at Daewon. Humans have this quality in abundance. Your species suffers. You struggle. You fight, you die. And yet every day millions of you help strangers, feed the hungry, comfort the sad, protect the weak. You do this despite poverty, despite exhaustion, despite having every logical reason not to. Daewon shifted uncomfortably. That's normal. That's what people do. No, the elder said firmly. That's what humans do. We've scanned 17 galaxies, billions of species. Most lose this quality as they advance. They optimize it away. They evolve past it. Only the rarest species maintain it, Mina spoke up. The Varani have been observing Earth for 5 years. They've analyzed millions of humans. They developed a profile, a psychological signature. People who show consistent, unprompted altruism. People who help without reward. Who give without expectation. Who sacrifice without purpose. She looked at Daewon. You're in the 99th percentile. Out of 8 billion humans, fewer than 80 million match the profile. Out of those 80 million, only about 10,000 show your level of consistency. That's impossible, Daewon said. I'm nobody. I'm just a dock worker. I barely graduated high school. I have no special skills. That's exactly why you're extraordinary, the elder said. You have every reason to be selfish. You're poor. You're tired. You're alone. No one would blame you for keeping your money, your time, your energy for yourself. And yet you don't. You give constantly. You help everyone. You sacrifice daily. Not because it benefits you. Not because society rewards you. Not because anyone even notices. You do it because you believe someone should. The elder stood. All 3 Varani stood. They bowed to Daewon. It was a gesture of deep respect. This is what Haiwan saw in you, the elder said. This is what we need to teach our children. Not through algorithms or protocols or lessons, but through example, through observation, through bonding with beings who embody what we lost. Daewon felt dizzy. This was too much, too big. He was just a guy who helped people. That wasn't special. That was just being decent. But I'm not a good teacher, he said. I don't know how to explain things. I barely passed school. You don't need to explain, the elder said. You just need to be yourself. Haiwan will watch. She will learn. She will internalize patterns that no lecture could teach. How to notice when someone needs help. How to act without weighing benefit. How to care without calculating cost. These are things that cannot be programmed. They must be absorbed. Haiwan tugged on Daewon's hand. He looked down at her. I'm learning, she said softly. Every day I'm learning. When you helped Youngsik, I learned that strangers matter. When you protected Taiyang, I learned that protecting others is more important than protecting yourself. When you send money to your mother, I learned that family bonds transcend logic. These are lessons I needed. Lessons my people forgot. Daewon felt something break inside his chest. Not in a bad way. In a way that let something out. Something he'd kept buried for years. I'm not perfect, he said. His voice was rough. I get tired. I get frustrated. Sometimes I want to just ignore everyone and take care of myself. We know, the elder said. That's what makes it meaningful. Perfect beings don't sacrifice. They simply execute their nature. Imperfect beings who choose kindness despite exhaustion, despite frustration, despite cost. They are the ones who show true compassion. The meeting ended. The officials left. The Varani elders bowed again. Mina gathered her notes. Daewon walked out with Haiwan still holding his hand. Outside, the sun was setting over Busan. The port was lit up with loading lights. Ships came and went. The galaxy turned. And somewhere in all that vastness, a civilization was trying to remember how to care. Daewon? Haiwan asked. Yeah? Thank you for being my Earth father. I haven't done anything special. That's exactly what makes it special. Daewon didn't understand that. But he was starting to think maybe he didn't need to. Maybe some things didn't need understanding. Maybe some things just needed doing. They walked home together as the stars came out. Neither of them knew that their lesson was about to be tested, that tomorrow would bring danger, that Daewon would have to choose between his safety and his nature. But for tonight, they had each other. And that was enough. The alarm started at 3 in the afternoon. Loud, piercing, the kind of sound that meant something very bad was happening. Daewon was at the market with Haiwan when he heard them. His phone buzzed. Then Mina's phone. Then every phone around them. Emergency alert. Port evacuation. Chemical leak. All personnel clear the area immediately. The market emptied. People ran toward the transit stations. Away from the port. Daewon picked up Haewon and ran with them. His old instincts from military service kicked in. Get clear, get safe. Follow orders. They reached the evacuation point. Thousands of people crowded together. Workers, shopkeepers, families. Everyone was talking at once. Phones out. News feeds showing the port. Smoke rising from Bay 7. Emergency vehicles everywhere. Mina found them in the crowd. Her face was pale. It's bad, she said. A cargo ship's reactor is failing. Toxic gas is leaking. The automated systems are trying to contain it, but her phone buzzed. She checked it. Her face got paler. The containment isn't working. They're saying the whole reactor might explode. How long? Daewon asked. Maybe an hour, maybe less. Everyone needs to get at least 5 kilometers away. The crowd pushed toward the transit trains. Daewon held Haewon close. They moved with the mass of people, slow, too slow, but moving. Then Daewon's phone rang. A number he recognized, Tae-yang, the young worker he had helped. Hello? Daewon? Tae-yang's voice was weak, coughing. I'm trapped. Bay 7 lower deck. I can't, more coughing. Can't breathe. Can't find the way out. The smoke, Tae-yang, where exactly are you? Storage section. I was checking inventory when the alarm started. Everything's sealed. I'm locked in. Rescue teams are coming. Stay calm. They said everyone evacuate. They said no rescue until containment. Daewon, I don't have that long. The air is running out. The line went dead. Maybe the signal. Maybe Tae-yang passed out. Either way, Daewon knew what it meant. The rescue teams wouldn't go in until the reactor was stable. Standard protocol. Can't risk more lives to save one person. It made sense. It was logical. It was the right call. Daewon looked at the port. Smoke and flashing lights. He thought about Tae-yang. Young kid, maybe 20 years old, whole life ahead of him, trapped in the dark, running out of air. He thought about the Varani elder's words, about irrational compassion, about helping despite the cost, about being the person who doesn't walk past. Mina, Daewon said quietly, take Haewon to the shelter. Keep her safe. Mina's eyes went wide. What? No, Daewon, what are you? Tae-yang is trapped. He won't survive if we wait for rescue teams. You can't go in there. The gas will kill you. The reactor might explode. I know. Then why? Because someone has to. Haewon grabbed Daewon's shirt. Her large eyes were filled with something that looked like fear. Earthfather, no. The probability of death is 93%. I calculated it. Daewon knelt down to her level. He put his hands on her small shoulders. Remember what you're learning from me? This is part of it. Sometimes helping people means risking yourself. I know it's not logical. I know it's not smart. But it's right. Right and dead are not the same thing, Haewon said. Her translator made her voice sound desperate. I know, kid. But if I don't go, I have to live knowing I could have helped and didn't. That's worse than any danger. He hugged her quickly. Then he handed her to Mina. Mina was crying. Daewon, please. Think about this. I am thinking. That's why I'm going. He ran, against the crowd, toward the port. Security tried to stop him. He dodged them. He knew the port better than anyone. Every alley, every service entrance, every shortcut. He had worked there for 15 years. The gas was thicker near Bay 7. Daewon pulled his shirt over his mouth. It didn't help much. His eyes burned. His lungs burned. But he kept moving. He found a service ladder. Down to the lower decks. The metal was hot. The air was worse. He could barely see. Emergency lights flickered. Alarms screamed, Tae-yang! He shouted. Where are you? No answer. Daewon moved through the corridors. Storage section. It was huge. Dozens of rooms. Tae-yang could be anywhere. His vision blurred. The gas was getting to him. He stumbled, caught himself on a wall, kept moving, room by room, calling Tae-yang's name. He found him in the 4th room, collapsed on the floor, not moving. Daewon checked his pulse. Still alive, barely. Daewon tried to lift him. Too heavy. Tae-yang was bigger than him, younger, stronger when conscious. Dead weight now. Daewon's muscles screamed. His lungs screamed. Everything screamed. He dragged Tae-yang toward the door. Inches at a time, The world tilted. Daewon fell. Got up, fell again. His body was giving out. The gas, the heat, the exhaustion. He had pushed too far. He looked at Tae-yang. Young face, peaceful in unconsciousness. This kid had made one mistake and almost lost his job. Daewon had saved him then, but he couldn't save him now. He didn't have the strength, I'm sorry. Daewon whispered. I tried, then he heard footsteps. Multiple footsteps running, voices calling his name. Mina appeared through the smoke. She had a breathing mask. She put it on Daewon's face. Breathe, she said. Just breathe. Behind her came more people. Young-sik, the old homeless veteran. He was wearing a rescue vest. He knelt next to Tae-yang. I know this ship model, Young-sik said. Served on one like it in the Navy. I can get us out. More dock workers arrived. People Daewon had helped over the years. They brought equipment. Breathing masks. A medical stretcher. They loaded Tae-yang onto it. What are you all doing here? Daewon asked through the mask. His voice was weak. What do you think? Young-sik said. You went in to help. So we came to help you. But the gas, the reactor. You'll all die. Then we die together, Mina said. That's what you taught us. That helping is more important than safety. I didn't teach you anything. Yes, you did. Every day, every action. You taught us that walking past isn't acceptable. So we didn't walk past. They moved as a group. Young-sik leading them through the maze of corridors. The dock workers carrying Tae-yang. Mina supporting Daewon. No one moved fast. But everyone moved together. They reached the service ladder. Getting 2 injured people up, it was hard. But hands reached down. More workers at the top. They pulled Tae-yang up. Then Daewon. Then everyone else. Outside, the emergency vehicles had arrived. Paramedics took Tae-yang. They took Daewon. Oxygen masks. Medical scans. Someone saying he was lucky to be alive. Someone else saying they were all crazy. The reactor was stabilized an hour later. The crisis ended. The port would be closed for repairs, but no one had died. Tae-yang would recover. Daewon would recover. Everyone would recover. Mina sat next to Daewon in the ambulance. She was crying again. Why did you follow me? Daewon asked. I told you to keep Haewon safe. I did keep her safe. I gave her to a diplomatic escort. Then I followed you because... She wiped her eyes. Because I've been watching you for weeks. I've seen you help everyone. I've seen you sacrifice everything. And I realized that if you died trying to help someone, and I did nothing, then I learned nothing from you. I would just be another person who walked past. You could have died. So could you. But you went anyway. You showed us that some things are more important than safety. So we followed your example. Daewon closed his eyes. He was tired. So tired. But something felt different. All his life he had helped people alone. No recognition. No support. No one helping him back. He had accepted that. Thought that was how the world worked. But today people had risked their lives for him. Because he had risked his life for others. Because compassion was contagious. Because kindness created community. Maybe that was the real lesson. Not just that humans could be compassionate, but that compassion spread. One person's courage gave others courage. One person's kindness inspired more kindness. One person choosing to not walk past made others stop walking past too. Haewon found him at the medical tent. She climbed onto the stretcher and curled up next to him. She was shaking. You almost died, she said, but I didn't. 93% chance. I calculated it. Life isn't about calculations, kid. It's about choices. I don't want you to die for your choices. I don't want that either. But I can't be someone who walks past. I tried to teach you that. You did. I learned. But I also learned that I need my Earth Father alive. Daewon hugged her. I'm alive. We're all alive. And Tae-yang is alive because we didn't walk past. The sun was setting again. The port was quiet. Somewhere in the crowd, alien observers from the Kethrid Collective were analyzing what they had seen. They had expected individual failure. They had predicted that compassion would lead to death. They had been wrong. They didn't understand humans. They didn't understand how one person's irrational choice could inspire a dozen others. How compassion created resilience that no individual strength could match. The Varani elders understood, though. They watched everything and nodded to each other. The lesson was complete. Not just for Haewon, but for everyone watching. Humanity's greatest weakness was actually their greatest strength. And Daewon, the nobody dock worker, had just proven it to the entire galaxy.